Disney is, quote, explicitly seeking to bar its 150 million Disney Plus subscribers from ever prosecuting a wrongful death case against it in front of a jury, even if the case facts have nothing to do with Disney Plus.
Hey everybody, I'm Chris.
And I'm Jimmy.
And today, Jimmy, we're going to be talking about some of the wildest terms and services conditions that people have signed in the world.
Yeah.
But again, on Apple, when you sign up for iTunes or whatever, like there's a giant list of things in like Peacock.
So many things
Netflix,
that you're accepting
anytime
when you sign up for it.
Yeah. And do you read those?
No,
We're
not even.
going to talk about maybe why you should.
Yes, because Philip DeFranco lets us know, you guys might have heard about this one. Disney had some pretty crazy terms and conditions. So let's hear from Philip DeFranco.
We gotta talk about this Disney wrongful death lawsuit because one, it's wild, and two, it might have you rethinking your Disney Plus subscription. I'll explain, right? So this is Dr. Tang Swan. In the fall of last year, she sat down for a meal at the Raglan Road Irish pub and restaurant at Disney Springs in Florida. And she, her husband, and her mother-in-law reportedly chose this place because Dr. Tang Swan had a deadly allergy to dairy and nuts, with her group being assured by Disney and the restaurant that they had all the proper safeguards when it came to food allergens. Dr. Tang Swan also repeatedly told the server about her allergies and was repeatedly assured that her food would be safe for her to eat. Then, when the meal arrived, they reportedly questioned the server again about the safety of the food, and they were once again assured that it was definitely safe.
So they're doing their due diligence. They had to ask him 3 times.
Yeah. Make sure, because she has an allergy that's pretty.
Not even just an allergy, a deadly allergy.
Well, we'll find out.
Safe. And obviously by this point, you know where this story is going. The family ate their meals at around 8 p.m. and by 8:45, Dr. Tang Swan was suffering a severe allergic reaction and was taken to the hospital where she later died. And according to the autopsy report, Dr. Tang Swan died from anaphylaxis and had very high levels of dairy and nut allergens in her system. With then her husband, Jeffrey Piccolo, filing a wrongful death lawsuit against Disney in February of this year, saying that the company and the restaurant were negligent. And with that, his wife's death was a direct result of that negligence. But then it brings us to the truly wild part of this story.
This is where it gets crazy.
Disney's response to the lawsuit, because at the end of May, Disney's attorneys filed a motion to compel arbitration, which means that the case would be handled by a neutral third party outside of court. And in that motion, Team Disney says that Piccolo is ignoring the agreement that he made to arbitrate all disputes against Disney and its affiliates. To which you might ask, okay, well, when did Piccolo make this agreement? Well, apparently it was when he signed up for a month-long trial of Disney Plus in 2019.
What?
I love it.
So I think he explains it a little bit, but they're saying by signing up for a 1-month trial, you signed up for a trial.
On his PlayStation, we learned later. It's on through his PlayStation.
In 2019.
Free
With
trial.
Disney's attorneys arguing that when he made an account through the Disney Plus website, he had to accept the subscriber agreement and Disney's terms of use. And those terms included the clause agreeing to arbitration. And then also saying Piccolo had agreed to Disney's terms when he bought the tickets online for their 2023 trip. Now with that, Piccolo and his attorneys have responded, calling Disney's argument preposterous and saying that it, quote, borders on the absurd.
It does border on the absurd.
Well,
And arguing the notion that terms agreed to by a consumer when creating a Disney Plus free trial account would forever bar that consumer's right to a jury trial in any dispute with any Disney affiliate or subsidiary is so outrageously unreasonable and unfair as to shock the judicial conscience, and this court should not enforce such an agreement. And
well, the crazy thing, he was talking
Shocking.
about basically anything that Disney's related to. And at this point, I feel like Disney owns just about anything.
yeah, you can't watch it. I can't sue Marvel for making terrible movies now.
Someone needs to.
You signed an agreement. Like, no.
Maybe you sign up for a trial. It's
You
like,
run Star Wars. You gotta sue them. Like, you signed the agreement.
you signed it, so you can't do it.
notably with that, Piccolo's attorney adding that Disney is, quote, explicitly seeking to bar its 150 million Disney Plus subscribers from ever prosecuting a wrongful death case against it in front of a jury, even if the case facts have nothing to do with Disney Plus.
Even if they have nothing to do with Disney Plus.
Yeah, I know you watched The Adventures of Natty Gann. You remember that show?
I don't.
It's an old Disney thing. You get on Disney Plus to watch some old sound music. I don't know, something old from Disney. And then you're like, oh, I can't sue them for anything park related. And it was kind of like the outskirts of the park too. It was like, it wasn't like in any of the Disney parks that this restaurant was. It's like it's on Disney's property. So it's part of Disney. And I think they looked on the website and it was Disney's website that had the restaurant on there. And so that was part of it as well. So we watched a lawyer guy talk about this.
Yeah. So Legal Eagle, if you guys are familiar, he's an actual lawyer, so he knows things. And we're going to watch just a little bit of it because on the surface, it does sound like Disney's kind of crazy.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like they're trying to protect themselves from any lawsuit ever. Yeah. And then the way they can do that is by having people sign something on Disney Plus. And you're like, wait a second.
That they most likely did not read.
Right.
Because it's like any other terms and conditions. Which, speaking of that, a little bit later in the video, there's going to be another person that made people sign basically NDAs to make sure that they don't get sued. So we'll stay tuned for that. But let's hear from Legal, a lawyer on the situation.
Seen on social media, Disney's lawyers claim that because the husband signed up for a free trial of Disney Plus 3 years before his wife died, they've waived their day in court and the claims must be arbitrated.
Sure, that sounds bad, but what if I told you it was actually quite a bit more complicated than it seems? Now, by the end of this video, you might not agree with Disney's lawyers, but you'll at least understand their arguments. But the optics were so bad that after days of backlash, Disney backed down and waived its right to arbitration, meaning the family will get its stay in court. But that doesn't...
Good.
Yes. Doctor person will get her come up and sound for
her husband's name was Piccolo.
Piccolo.
I just remember because that's a Dragon Ball Z character. But so he talks about for the next 18 minutes of why it wasn't like, okay, you can't sue us ever again or anything like that. So
arbitration just means they will settle out of court and they don't have to go through the court process, which actually takes a really long time. And so it would actually, in a lot of cases, it would be more beneficial for them to settle out of court with a third party arbitrating them instead of just all this crazy stuff. And so do you think, though, that Disney included that in there to be nefarious and kind of like, well, we're going to get away with a lot because you can't sue us?
I don't know, because I feel like sometimes, not necessarily Disney, but other companies, they'll put things in there, or just like people in general put things in contract just to have a clause where they kind of get ahead or something to cover all their bases. But the person I was talking about, that this one seems like it might actually be a little bit even more disturbing than the Disney one, was Mr. Beast.
Yes.
So he was in a lot of hot water for a lot of things right now, if you've been keeping up with it.
He's not doing well right now.
He's not, although his YouTube videos are still getting 100 million views per video.
Yeah,
so
he makes good videos.
He makes good videos. But he's making what is arguably the biggest game show of all time called the Beast Games. And right now it's in the filming. And there's a person, and these are a little bit older allegations, but this person was actually a contestant, and they were sharing some of the crazy things that were going on. And the whole idea behind it was when they went in, they had to sign something that basically said, hey, here's $1,000. You sign this, therefore you can't sue us for anything that's related to this.
But you get $1,000.
I'd sign it, but let's listen to some of the things that were going on here.
I was a contestant until the end. I also didn't accept their hush money.
She called it hush money.
It was really bad. People were having seizures because they were not getting medication, even though we were promised we would. And it was 100% rigged. They presented it as though the game would be like Squid Games, basically a type of game show where all the games are an even playing field. That was not at all the case. All the games were about speed and strength, so only the young athletic males were at an advantage over the women and elderly people.
And then it starts getting crazy.
Were also casted. To make things worse, men started realizing that they could take out the women without being eliminated. Guys started tackling and hitting women.
Can you imagine this?
No, and like they're like filming this. Yeah. I don't know. So this is for Amazon. So I don't know if Amazon had people there giving oversight. It doesn't sound like it. It sounds like it was Mr. Beast and his crew, because he has done a lot of game shows and stuff in the past. And so I think Amazon was like, hey, go make this. Here's a bunch of money we'll throw at it as well. And so he's making this, and he's kind of running it how he wants to.
Yeah, well, because, I mean, and he's even got in some hot water more recently for even different videos that he's made on his main channel of people that they're competing for money, but they're just in these really terrible conditions.
Yeah.
And people are having problems with that. But this, it seems like to the extreme where they're thinking they're signing up for like Squid Games, which had some that it was like luck was involved and or maybe like logical thinking and stuff like that. Yeah. But this is like you're in a pickup game of basketball and you have these young athletic males versus these old men and women.
Yeah. And then it says the guys started realizing like, oh, I can like actually hurt women, and I don't get in trouble for it. And so they're like, well, I'm taking out the competition because that's part that's part of the game show. And so, because we talked about that on our podcast before, like if you're on a game show, would you lie that's part of the rules of like you're supposed to deceive people and stuff. And so these people figure out like, oh, this is part of the rules, so I can hurt people, which is ethically wrong. I mean,
here's the question though. So I think they're competing for $5 million. So would you tackle an old person for $5 million? Yes or no?
No, or sorry, hitting women. Like they were two girls were tackled and passed out in the field and dragged off to continue filming. I saw people with broken bones, stitches, etc., and most were women. And so it seems like the women.
If it was in the context of a game and you were competing for $5 million, would you tackle an old person?
So yeah. If we're playing,
You would? Okay.
if we're
Well, so
playing
you
football.
did. So what's the difference?
No, but it sounds like they were purposely going out of their way
To win.
realizing that they could take out the women without being eliminated. So they're like hurting people on purpose. Because you have that in football at times, where like, hey, tackle this guy and break his legs or whatever. So you have like these shady tactics, and I feel like that's what this turned into. And there wasn't anything being done about it, and there's nobody giving oversight. So people are breaking bones and getting stitches and all that stuff, and not like being challenge on that at all. Like, hey, you can't do that. Like, that's out of the bounds of the rules, because apparently there was no rules.
Yeah, so we'll see if this actually makes it to where people can watch it, because it seems like it's been a little bit crazy so far.